Welcome to Hills Hangout. My name is Stanley Nunn. I'm your host, and I'm here with the author, Stephen Mack Jones. He is an accomplished author who has graced us with several books, all centered around and related to the Detroit area. So we wanted to talk to you today about your process. We talked to a lot of artists, and we wanted to make sure that we dig down a little deeper than just, your particular novel. As an artist, I wanted to know, how do you go about your creative process? What is it that sort of gets you going?
Okay, well, essentially the start point is a very basic idea that could be expressed in maybe one or two sentences. And from there, I do research on the subject that I'm thinking about. When I'm asked about my process, I'm a little embarrassed because my process is, let's put it this way, if you gave a 2-year-old child a lot of sugar and a crayon and asked them to draw a straight line, you wouldn't get it. It's all over the place.
I get that. I write myself, so I often spend a good portion of that time staring at a blank screen, cursing to the heavens, and or distracting myself with, music or anything else. So I guess I was wondering, so do you have like some music that you listen to? Do you go like, one artist friend of mine goes walking around, wherever their location is going to be?
Right. Music is really important to me when I write. I may not be listening to it, but certain songs come to me. I may be listening to the radio, public broadcasting, and hear a song. I've written complete scenes in my books that carry the rhythm and sound of, say, a song by Herbie Hancock or Miles Davis.
Okay. So when you're writing, this is one thing that I found to be, really common in my writing, is that I sort of get into the mindset of the character. So I'm sort of thinking as they would think in order to write the next, sentence or whatnot. How does that work with you? I mean, when you're developing a character?
About the same. Just trying to get into the mind of the character, and also being surprised when the character displays a mind of their own. I may want one of my characters to walk from the kitchen to a window and look out and see a suspicious car. But the character, while I'm writing, starts to go to the door. And I start thinking, well, this isn't the way I planned it. And the character tells me, you may not have planned it this way, but this is how it's going to be. And sometimes I find myself following behind my characters, almost taking dictation. I know it sounds schizophrenic.
But I was just thinking that you border on madness.
Yeah, exactly. It is controlled madness.
Absolutely. And I don't think we should quantify it. I think it should be something that remains a bit of a mystery.
Yes.
Even to the artist as well, because it leaves it open to interpretation by those who digest that work. I mean, do you experience a sort of push to create like other artists?
I sometimes find myself denying, okay, well, this is the last book. This is it for a while. And then feeling that distance grow between myself and the creative life that I want to live, have to live. And so, as they say in The Godfather, it just keeps pulling you back.
This is not your first life.
No.
So how has the transition been from your previous life to this more creative focused life?
The transition has been extraordinarily wonderful. It has not been without its trials and tribulations, but I think we talked earlier about the fact that I was in advertising for a number of years, and that's something that I always feel like I should apologize for. But if I learned anything from those 30 years, it's how to quickly, effectively edit and rewrite again. So I do appreciate that.
Where do you find like that spark of inspiration?
Well, you know, I think there are a number of aha moments along the way, discovering what the story is as you write it. There are a lot of people that plan a story out to the nth degree, and certainly I'm envious of that to a point. I think artists in general have the ability to surprise themselves. And I've talked to a number of really phenomenal artists in the Farmington Hills area, and that seems to be a baseline.
There's always a spiritual component to artistic creation, that there's a connection to something that is beyond ourselves, that we don't necessarily understand, that brings out that inspiration and can create something that we don't expect. I wonder, is there a component of your work that has that connection?
I think there is something inexplicable about what artists do. I mean, we can try all day to explain what our process is, what the medium that we choose, but there's something inexplicable, whether you believe it is a spiritual aspect or what have you. There's something inexplicable about the creative process.
So we were talking earlier about when you first got your first book published. What was it like for you when you got the word back from your publisher that you got the green light?
It was stunning. It was years of hope, trial and error that had come to fruition. And it was also liberating, because all of those rejections, all of those years of trying, they melted away. They were gone. It was a new moment. It was a new beginning. I get that feeling every time they send me a box of the books that are going out into the world.
Well, if you were able to speak to someone who's beginning the process that you're on, and you had one piece of advice to give them, what would you tell them?
I would tell them to keep writing. If you have an idea for a novel, follow through on it. Write 10 pages of it, and I guarantee you that 10 pages, of those 10 pages, 8 of those pages will be terrible. or as Charles Barkley says, terrible. But you'll find that 2 pages are surprisingly inspiring. And then the next day, write another 10 pages. Maybe 7 of those pages are going to be terrible. But this time you've got 3 pages that are inspirational. And keep going. It's a muscle that you build up. Stick with it. That's how it gets done. We tell stories to help determine who we are in hopes of becoming better or understanding our place in the whole. That's what storytelling is.
Stephen Mack Jones, author, with a great deal on the horizon. I want to thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Stanley.